control away from Jim O'Neill? Because that defense looks so different that it's almost like somebody else was calling it.
I don't think there was control seized. Truthfully, I think it was the perfect storm. They knew they were going up against a weak team with a quarterback who is surprising that he's still in the league, truthfully.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they just saw the ability to attack. I would expect that next week when they play against the Seahawks that they're going to realize that they can't attack with as much frequency as they did against the Niners, because if they don't get home, Russell Wilson's going to destroy them with his leg as well as his arm.
Right.
So I think this was a one-time only deal, but it was still nice to see for as long as we did see it.
Yeah, it was nice. Matt, did the Browns go out and as a team win this one for Mike Pettin? Because we saw Dante Whitner come out, first player to support the head coach last week, essentially calling out the other players, saying guys aren't doing what they're supposed to and the scheme's not a problem. Do you think they went out and won this one for Coach?
I think they went out and they won one for themselves. I think they finally realized that the pride that they needed to play with the entire season was pretty much absent, and they had an opportunity to go see the win, and maybe they were looking ahead at the rest of the schedule and saying what we're saying, that, hey, this is going to be a tough stretch here, but we've got an opportunity to win a ball game. Let's go do it. And that's where I think the pride kicked in. I don't think it was anything about Mike Pettin or Jim O'Neill, because quite frankly,
not Jim O'Neill.
I think the defensive players gave up on Jim O'Neill about 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And with Mike Pettin, maybe they want him back, maybe they don't, but it's a little late to start worrying about saving jobs for people, because I think that ship left harbor a long time ago.
Well, that's the thing. If you wanted Mike Pettin around, why weren't you playing like this a while ago? And the players should. Like, talk about the easiest cream puff of a schedule and workload you can get. If you're a player, you want Mike Pettin to stay around, man. Training camps off, vet days off. It's Club Med over there. Like, you want him back. But, yeah, you're right. And I just don't understand how, all right, if they did this for themselves, if they did this for pride, you couldn't have been proud and had some pride coming out of the bye week. You couldn't have started this process and played with some effort and passion and anger when you were still in a playoff hunt. Like, that's what baffles me.
I totally agree with that assessment. I'm just saying what I think happened. I don't think they played for anybody but themselves.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
And I think that's why they won the game, because they actually did take pride in their effort.
I just don't know why it took so long. Like why couldn't they be proud a few weeks ago?
Well, the easy answer is to say that they're spoiled. Quite frankly, these guys, they get everything handed to them.
Yeah.
You know, they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get dinner if they want, all on the company time. They get first class travel accommodations. They stay in hotels that most of us can't even dream about affording unless we get a ridiculous deal and they're paying the group rate full price. They get police escorts, they get these fancy cars, they get these huge contracts. Quite frankly, when you get paid, you look at things differently. And maybe playing with pride isn't as important as it once was. I'm not saying that's everybody's opinion in that locker room, but the vast majority of those guys in the locker room came from nothing or from humble beginnings. And when they get paid, they get happy. And that changes people. Money changes people. And I think that has something to do with a lot of it, because you look at the guys we brought in, and I'll give Paul Kruger credit. He's one of the free agents that catches a lot of flack, but he has worked his tail off.
I agree.
And his numbers have not shown that. But he goes out there and he plays hard. And another guy I really think is underrated in terms of his value to the franchise, when he's healthy, Desmond Bryant is an absolute disruptive force that will crush any pocket in the NFL. And Desmond goes out there and earns his money. There are some other guys out there that do not do that, and they don't have the heart, and they don't have the pride kick in. But some of the veterans found a way to get that pride to come out in those guys yesterday, and And Dante led the charge. He was one of those guys that was really talking about playing with pride, and he did. And he led a great defensive effort, and he had a lot of help. But unfortunately, the pride thing is a moot point at this point because
right.
I think the players realized it was their last opportunity to get a win, and they wanted another day off this week.
That's the motivation.
And they got
it. What a great motivator. Hey, I got to do some Christmas shopping. Let's get out of here. Want to touch on the offense a little bit more, then we'll go to the defense. Got to point out what a tragedy for Brian Hartline. Broken collarbone, gonna need surgery. Had an 8-catch, 107-yard day, and had really, since coming out of the concussion, had really turned into the possession guy that. And you talk about free agents trying to earn their money and work hard. He is definitely one of them. That is so sad that he won't get to finish out the season with the Browns after he was coming on so far with this team, and it just thins out an already super thin receiver core.
Well, that means we're probably going to see more of his former teammate Terrell Pryor or Dwayne Bowe. It's not a tragedy compared to world events, but in the football sense of things, it's hard to take because Brian Hartline really did work his tail off, and he went after everything possible. He was diving for first downs. After catching a short crossing route, he would sprint to the sideline and try to extend it 3 more yards to get the first down. He really did do everything humanly possible to help this team this year. And despite him not always being in the greatest of moods or challenging reporters' questions and seeming really combative at times, he really did go after things, and he proved that when he signed with his hometown team, he wasn't doing it from the standpoint that he just wanted to go home and make money and be around family. He actually came to play.
Yeah, and you know what, Matt? It's frustrating for reporters. Like I'm in, when I'm in locker rooms and players are just being jerks. It's frustrating, but when you see it from the standpoint of Hartline and you can take from it, this is a guy who's not happy losing. This is a guy who losing bothers him. You can respect that, and you can say, okay, that is why, not just some spoiled brat being a punk for the sake of being a punk. But I got to make a quick point here. How funny was it to see Dwayne Bowe inactive? He was inactive on the sideline in street clothes, wearing the eye black. What, like, is there a new rule in the NFL? Was he gonna like Superman rip off his shirt and have a jersey on and pop out of it? Why was he wearing eye black with those diamond earrings, by the way, which were the size of car tires? Like it was hilarious. He has 3 catches on the year.
If either one of our wives opened a Christmas present that had diamonds the size of Dwayne Bowe's, they would think we robbed a jewelry store. They really would.
You're so right.
I'm not exactly sure what is going on with Dwayne. I just know that this experiment that failed miserably, and it can't end soon enough for all parties concerned.
But you're right, Matt. They have to play him next. Like Hartline's out. Like who else are you going to play? Like there's only you're going to bring Jennings back. He didn't do anything yesterday. Like Jennings, like you have to have a target for Johnny Manziel. Like you need somebody big outside of Gary Barnidge. Like they're just.
Let's go over that.
Okay,
right now, if they played tomorrow against the Seahawks,
yeah,
healthy-wise, they would have Taylor Gabriel, they would have Darius Jennings, they'd have Terrell Pryor, and they'd have Dwayne Bowe.
Wow.
Andrew Hawkins is still in the concussion protocol, and Marlon Moore has been beat to a bloody pulp over the last 2 weeks to the point where he's exited both games ahead of schedule. So you go in with 4, because you have 6 active receivers. 4 are healthy. I guarantee Marlon Moore is going to be active, and he's going to be the 4th receiver, and Dwayne Bowe is still going to be inactive.
No!
I guarantee it's going to happen because watch, Andrew Hawkins comes back healthy this week too, by the way. Watch, he'll clear the protocol and be ready to go.
Like, okay, can DiFilippo look us look reporters in the eye and say, "Oh, it's a long season. We're going to need Dwayne Bowe." Hey, Flip, there's 3 games left. When does the season get long enough to see Dwayne Bowe? Come on.
I honestly think this pick more than anything in the free agent market shows that Mike Pettine and Ray Farmer are far from on the same page.
Oh, yeah. There's politics.
And it just goes to show you that if you're going to have such a thing happen, that these two men cannot coexist, and Jimmy is going to have to make a tough choice, whether it's all or one or the other. He's got to make a call as to who gets the gate, and by all accounts that I'm hearing right now, it's Pettine that's going to be packing his bags, and Ray Farmer is going to be staying right where he's at,
wow.
given a top 3 draft pick.
No,
grew up. So I'm very, very concerned about the future of this franchise so long as Ray Farmer's around, because Ray Farmer watches tape with the president of the organization and takes advice from a man who is a legal guy. I mean, let's face it, he's a trained attorney.
Yeah,
and
great on the business side.
And they're going to take advice from him about how to select a football team. It's not going to end well. I don't care how long he was in Dallas. I don't care, if he was Jerry Jones's top lieutenant, which I beg to differ, because if he's Jerry Jones's top lieutenant, he wouldn't have gotten out of Dallas. And secondly, Jerry has a couple members of his family in the organization, so I would think they're probably higher up on the food chain.
Yeah.
You can't have a person who knows nothing about player evaluation go into a draft room and say, we need this, we need this, we need this. You're a great marketing guy, and I understand you helped increase the worth of the franchise, but that worth goes to pot if the team continues to suck.
Well, yeah, it really does. And, Matt, you said it's a hard decision for Jimmy Haslam. It shouldn't be. Goodbye, Ray. Goodbye, Pet. Everybody. Clear house. Browns fans will not be upset with Jimmy Haslam if he clears house. He said at the beginning of the year, we all remember, okay, yeah, I'm going to stick with them. There are extenuating circumstances. Now, really looking back, Matt, how good would this team be, or at least the potential to be, if you still had Rob Chudzinski as head coach with coordinators Norv Turner and Ray Horton? Oh, my goodness.
I was really on the bandwagon of Rob Chudzinski. I felt he was given a bad hand.
Me too.
By being ushered out of the gate so quickly. Yeah, I understand there was a long losing streak, but really,
just like this one,
11 months to turn around a joke of a franchise?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You didn't give him anything in the way of talent. You traded his starting running back in the 3rd week of the season, and oh yeah, by the way, you never gave him another one. So
Willis McGahee, baby.
I don't understand really why Jimmy just continued to listen to Joe Banner for as long as he did, and then basically 6 weeks after firing Chud and 3 weeks after hiring Pettine, he ushers Banner and Lombardi out of the building. First of all, they should have never been allowed in the building if you wanted a successful franchise. And it was a joke then. It's a joke now. And Rob Chudzinski may be in the mix for some high-level jobs in the not-so-distant future here. Granted, Indianapolis is having a disastrous end of their season, but he's doing that without Andrew Luck. So there's really nothing he can do when he's on his 3rd-string quarterback, and the defense gives up 48 unanswered points.
So yeah.
So yeah. I wanted Chud to stay. I've never met a nicer head coach in my life. He was a pleasure to work with, and I'm not saying that Mike Pettine isn't, but knowing what I know about Rob Chudzinski, he got an absolute raw deal, and we're 2 years removed from that because this move was going to, help save the franchise, and we are worse than where we started before.
Oh, sure we were.
If you go 3-13, last time I checked, it's still worse than 4-12. And
yep.
I will give Chudzinski this. A lot of those losses early on were close. Pettine hasn't been close in a loss in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Ravens blocking a field goal and returning it for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's really it. And what's the common denominator, Matt? Dysfunction in the front office. Banner, Lombardi, all right, they're gone. Now, Shiner, Farmer, Pettine. You cannot have mayhem behind the scenes and expect to succeed. It just doesn't happen. That's the problem. So if you keep Farmer, and we talked about it, Matt, if Ray Farmer stays, without a shadow of a doubt, Jimmy Haslam made a deal with him saying, hey, you take the fall for the texting scandal. You take the fall for drafting Johnny. Like,